Members, we've reached the appointed hour and we have a quorum. The meeting is now called to order. Item number 1, confirmation minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of March 2014. Minutes have been sent to members. The Secretary has not received any proposed amendment. So, should members confirm the minutes? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Andrew Leung. Item 2, information papers issued since the last meeting. We have received 3. The first one, the administration's reply to the letter from the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong dated 25th March 2014 on updating of Hong Kong's copyright regime as set out in paper CB1 277-13-14, bracket 01. Second paper, information paper on the financial position of Applied Research Fund for the period from the 1st of September to 30th of September 2013, paper number CB1 1349 stroke 1314 bracket 01, and the fourth. And the third paper is Legislative Council brief on United Nations Sanctions Yemen regulation, paper CITB CR 75 stroke 53 stroke 9. The 3 papers have been sent to members. Do members want to discuss any one of them? If not, then thank you very much. So we move on. Item 3, date the next meeting and items for discussion. Our regular meeting in June will be held on the 17th of June at 2:30 p.m., a Tuesday. The proposed items for discussion. Number 1, research and development of Chinese medicines. Number 2, progress report on research and development centers 2013-14. They are on our list of items for discussion. Agenda item number 4, HKSAR's protection and assistance for Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam in the face of the recent anti-China riots. Well, we first have to welcome the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Greg So, Mr. Raymond Wu, PAS, the Mr. Kenneth Mack, Director General of Trade and Industry, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, Secretary for Security, and Ms. Amy Wong, Principal Assistant Secretary for Security. I'd like to thank the 2 policy secretaries for coming within such a short notice. I gave them a telephone call, and they gave them a telephone call, and I gave them a call, and then they agreed immediately. And Mr. So rushed back from the mainland. We are concerned about the anti-China riots causing or damaging our businessmen investment in Vietnam. We saw mainland and also Taiwan taking back their people from Vietnam. They have chartered flights and charter vessels. But what about us? Within a short period of time, the 2 policy secretaries have given us a paper. We don't have time to go over it, but I thank you anyways for providing such a comprehensive reply within such a short notice. So, Mr. So, are you going to take us through the paper first? Thank you, Chairman, and also thank the Commerce and Industry panel for inviting us to attend today's meeting. You may not have time to read the paper, so I just give you a briefing. Now, since the anti-Chinese riots, the SARG has been paying attention to the situation and the impact on the Hong Kong business there. Vietnam and Hong Kong have a lot of trade transactions. Hong Kong businessmen have increased investment in Vietnam recently in the past few days through our Singapore ETO and through the TDC's Ho Chi Minh City office. We contacted the HKBAV, the Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam, to understand the latest situation. and also provide information to the Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam through the HKBAV. The Singapore ETO also responded to the inquiry of the HKBAV and provides the necessary help. Our bureau and the TID have been liaising with major chambers of commerce to understand the latest situation of the Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam and release the latest information to them. We have been talking to Mr. Choi, the chairman of the HKBAV, on the line. Mr. Choi will come back tomorrow, and tomorrow we will meet with Mr. Choi to further discuss the situation. Apart from maintaining contact with the HKBAV, the SARG has also asked the Vietnamese government to protect the life and property of Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam. Last week, when I attended the APEC ministerial meeting in Qingdao, I also took the initiative to meet with Mr. Wu of Vietnam. He is the Minister of Trade and Economic Development, or rather the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and I urged the Vietnamese government to protect Hong Kong people and their property in Vietnam. And then Mr. Wu said that protecting investment is government policy in Vietnam, and he gave the undertaking that the government of Vietnam will protect the Hong Kong people and their property in Vietnam. In Hong Kong and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations will commence negotiation on the Hong Kong Asian Free Trade Agreement, and this agreement will include investment promotion and protection clauses. Vietnam, being a member of ASEAN, will participate in this FTA negotiation. We strive to complete the negotiation as early as possible to strengthen the economic and trade relations of Hong Kong and ASEAN member states, allowing Hong Kong businessmen to have better access to the Asian markets and provide better protection to investors' investment there. Let me stress that SLG pays special attention and is very concerned about the protests in Vietnam, and we are concerned about the situation of Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam. We will maintain close liaison with them and respond accordingly. Thank you. The Secretary for Security, Mr. Lai. Thank you, Chairman. With regard to large-scale anti-Chinese protests, we issue the amber OTA. With the change of the situation, we raise it to a red OTA on the 15th of May, and we urge our citizens not to visit that place as far as possible. The Tourism Industry Council has also responded to the red OTA and has announced the cancellation of all tour groups to Vietnam from the 16th to the 26th of May. Hong Kong tour groups, who are the last group, will return from Vietnam this evening. And the Foreign Minister Mr. Wang Yi also took up the case with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Vietnam, and Mr. Liu Jianqiao led a delegation. The Assistant Minister led a delegation to follow the matter up in Vietnam. On the 16th of May, in my office, I met with the Secretary General of, or rather the Consulate General of Vietnam. I urged the Vietnamese government to protect all Hong Kong people in Vietnam, protect their life and property. The ACLG has been paying close attention to the matter, and has liaised with the liaison office of Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong, and we work through the our country's embassy in Vietnam to provide help to Hong Kong people in Vietnam. We also released the latest information through various means, And we also work through the HKBAV to release information to Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam. Up till now, the international airports are still open and flights have been maintained on the normal level. There is no scrambling for seats. Hong Kong people in Vietnam can call the immigration hotline 852-1868 or liaise with the embassy or consulates, Chinese embassy or Chinese consulate in Vietnam. And we also ask the HKBAV to remind their members that if they are in Vietnam and they think they need to stay in Vietnam, then they better use the registration system provided by the Immigration Department and register the method of contact, the means of contact, and information can be given to them through SMS, through the mobile phones, and also the unit will provide immediate help. Open the floor to members. I know that two policy secretaries are busy, so we will not spend more than an hour on this. 4 minutes each, okay? Questions and answers together. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. First of all, I thank the government for providing assistance to Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam who were attacked. On the 14th of May, I received a call from my friend who had a factory in Vietnam. His factory in Vietnam was attacked, and I talked to the secretary on ways to help them. And the secretary liaised with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and handled the matter. I did not go into the details. I do not go into details. You have seen that. I've also talked on the phone to friends who have factories in Vietnam. They are really scared. Their gates are burst open, and some claimed that some protesters claimed that they would come back again and burn down the factories. Our country, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, issued statements and did some work. In recent years, because of rising costs in the mainland, have been exploring the Southeast Asian countries, and many investors, Hong Kong investors, set up factories in Southeast Asian countries. It seems that these countries are not stable politically and socially. We hope that the government can do something more. Concerning Thailand, Thailand is now under curfew, and I myself has a factory in Thailand. I'm a bit worried. I hope that the SARG, in particular the Security Bureau, will provide us more details. Say, for example, if Hong Kong businessmen have got into trouble overseas, what kind of assistance will be provided. And also in terms of investment, if something untoward happened to the investment, is there any way the government can help?
Chairman, perhaps I'll take Mr. Lam's question first. We have a dedicated unit under the Security Bureau to handle all requests for assistance by Hong Kong residents. The Immigration Department also has a dedicated team. They work round the clock. And they have a hotline that takes requests for assistance by Hong Kong residents. And we can increase manpower anytime, up to even more than 100. And there are several levels. Well, first of all, we can contact the relevant consulate general in the relevant cities, and if necessary, we have a mechanism to dispatch staff to handle issues. And we have had this experience before. For example, we also went to Egypt to help Hong Kong residents return to Hong Kong. We also had a chartered flight to take these residents from more remote areas. For example, Fukushima incident, we also sent a team of staff there. For Vietnam, on this occasion, for Hong Kong residents traveling to Vietnam, a visa is required. And on the day the incident happened, some of our staff members already applied for visas so that if necessary they can depart any time. And we have so far received 10 cases for assistance. We have dealt with all of them. Basically, all these cases are concerned with just one thing, and that is to have flight tickets to return to Hong Kong as soon as possible. And all these cases were handled. Some had already returned, some not yet, because after getting the flight tickets, they believed they could stay longer there. And that's why the tickets had not been used, as they wished to stay longer. And also on the availability of seats, as far as I understand from the information at hand, there have not been any problems because there are 3 airlines, including the Vietnamese Air, operating flights between Vietnam and Hong Kong. And we have contacted this airliner at once. For the 2 airliners, they have also taken emergency measures, including using bigger aeroplanes with more seats to accommodate more passengers. For ticket price, for flights from Vietnam to Hong Kong, they are giving discounts. I'm sorry, I have to cut you short, Secretary. Mr. So, you wish to supplement? Yes, in brief. As I said in my opening remarks, for Vietnam and Thailand, we will be negotiating with them on the Asian Free Trade Agreement, FTA, and we'll also explore areas for facilitating investment. And for these trade agreements, the contracting parties will have the obligation of ensuring free and equitable treatment, and that the measures may be taken so as to ensure the protection and security of the investment of an investor of the other contracting party. And we will be negotiating with them. Of course, there must be consent between parties, but we'll try our best and strive for more protection for our investors. Next, Mr. Andrew Leung. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for accepting my suggestion for inviting the 2 secretaries here to explain to us the Vietnam incident. And of course, after Friday, after Sunday, no second round riot happened again. So I have a question for the administration. According to the information they have, how many Hong Kong investors are there in Vietnam, and how many of them are staying there on a long-term basis, so that if necessary we can offer help as soon as possible? Now, although the riot has somewhat died down, you see that for other places they've also sent vessels to help evacuate their residents. So what should Hong Kong government do? Should we follow the state's example and help Hong Kong residents return? Because many newspapers commented that incidents might happen all of a sudden. So the 2 secretaries, would you please tell me what can be done? First, on the statistics, how many investors are there in Vietnam? We don't have any official figure, but as I understand from the business sector, there are close to 700 to 1,000 investors in Vietnam. They are mostly engaged in textile and garment and shoes manufacturing, electronics, etc. Now, as for the arrangements for them to return to Hong Kong if necessary under emergency situations, maybe I'll defer to Mr. Lai. About Hong Kong factory owners in Vietnam. Now, we don't have a mechanism requesting them to report their departure from Hong Kong, so we don't have the actual figures now. But we have, through the Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam, appeal to members of the HKBAV to register with the bureau, with our bureau's outbound travel alert reminder system, so that we could find out how many of them there are. If we start now and ask the HKBAV to collect membership information for us, I don't think this is the most appropriate or efficient way. But the easiest way, in fact, is for them to register with our system online. Now, Mr. Leung, for the several major factories in Ho Chi Minh Province being subject to major damage, their staff members have been assisted in returning to Hong Kong, returning to their original place. And I've told the investors that if necessary, we can do the same for their staff. But as far as like I said just now, we receive only not many cases, and these cases have been dealt with quite swiftly. And as I said just now, we have staff members already having applied for visas for traveling to Vietnam, and if necessary, they can travel to Vietnam. And we have also liaised with the Consulate General, and if necessary, they will support us in whatever we have to do. Next, Mr. Felix Chung. Last week, when the riot in Vietnam happened, I was liaising with the Security Bureau and the CITB, and I knew what they were doing. But under such emergency circumstances, I saw officials in mainland and Taiwan coming out and explaining to us what they were doing. On the contrary, I didn't see any officials here telling us what they're doing. So I think, first of all, we need to have officials explaining to the public what the Hong Kong SAR government is doing, so that the Hong Kong businessmen over there will have some information, and this can also reassure the public. As for the 8 Hong Kong businessmen with their factories being damaged, I have been in contact with 5 of them, and their factories were damaged to various extents, and some of the factories have resumed operation. And the Secretary for Security mentioned that he met with the Consulate General last week, and they've also undertaken to protect the property and the lives of Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam. However, I want to know specifically what measures they have in protecting the investments and the personal safety of Hong Kong businessmen. It seems that this incident has died down somewhat, but we don't know whether another round will surge again. One of the businessmen told me that he tried to call the police over there, and yet the police station told them that nobody could be sent to help them. So, despite calls to the police station or other agencies, they wonder how they would be protected. I think the Hong Kong SAR government should work with the Vietnamese government to make sure that there will be measures to protect them. Secretary. Now, about protecting the safety of Hong Kong people there, the embassy will see that done, and will also seek help from the embassy. When we met with the Consul General of Vietnam in Hong Kong, they've also told us that their government attaches or is highly concerned about this incident. They've issued notices, and they've also instructed agencies to implement the measures. Of course, at the time when I met with him, this incident already happened. And he said firmly that this incident would be handled in such a manner. And at the state level, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, or the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, have talked to the Vietnamese counterpart. And also on Sunday, according to reports, there would be large-scale anti-China protests and riots in various places in Vietnam. But we understand that after implementing measures by the Vietnamese government, we haven't seen any such major riots. So I see that the Vietnamese government has appropriately responded to the matter. Mr. So, well, Mr. Lai has already explained in great detail, and on the matter of investments and business in Vietnam, during the meeting of the ministers in Qingdao, I already expressed our concern to the minister, and I already asked him to give an undertaking that our investments and our personal safety would be protected. As for the damage to factories there and the details, so far no such incidents have happened again, and our head of ETO in Singapore will also travel to Vietnam to meet with the HKBAV chair to see what further assistance we can give. And on specific cases, we'll also inspect the damaged factories. So depending on the circumstances, we will visit the factories. And the government has been contacting various parties. And the Minister of Trade and Commerce in Vietnam also expressed that where there is damage to factories, the Vietnamese government would also have to respond positively to the requests from the business sector. Next, Mr. Yu Si-wing. Thank you, Chairman. Although last Sunday no major protests occurred, but in the South China Sea area, we understand that tension is rising, and there could be protests any time. In the coming weeks, the situation in Vietnam will remain unclear and uncertain. So my question for the administration is this: in the coming few weeks, apart from learning about the situation through the media, will there be any channel established, including any channel via the mainland, for communication, so that we grasp the latest situation in various places? And I mean, we may know about what's going on in the capital or in the major cities, but not in other places. So is there such a channel so that we know in a timely manner, and be prepared of what may happen in other places? Mr. So, as I said, through various channels, we would try to grasp the situation of various places, and we will continue to work with the various parties to minimize loss, and We'll also closely liaise with the relevant counterparts to get the latest situation. And also at the meeting, I also discussed with the Ministry of the State Ministry of Commerce, and they agree that apart from the safety of mainland investors, they should also be concerned about the safety of Hong Kong businessmen there. Mr. Lai, after the occurrence of this incident, through various channels, we have been liaising with them, including the embassy in Vietnam. We have also talked several times on the phone with them, and once every few hours a briefing would be given through the use of my phone, and will continue, of course, to monitor the progress through the media so that we can make a timely response.
Chairman, it was all about what had been done, but in the coming few months, the situation will still be very uncertain. I hope that there should be some plans in hand. Say, for example, Hong Kong business people in the mainland, Hong Kong businessmen in the mainland, or rather Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam, or there should also be a network with the mainland and also those in Vietnam. Instead of just receiving news reports, I think you need to have a network with the people over there. Do you have any preventive measures? We'll work with the embassies and consular offices. They have more contacts with overseas Chinese over there. We have contacts with them. I agree that the situation may change abruptly. We will step up communication so that information network can be broadened and more information can be obtained so that we can respond in a timely manner. We need timely information so that we can respond in a timely manner. Hope that in the coming 2 to 3 weeks we will have better communication. Even today we are still doing that. But we don't tell the public how many phone calls we have made. Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Yes, what is done is necessary, but a few more things have to be done. First, collect information on damages suffered by Hong Kong businessmen over there, draw up a comprehensive report, and then take the matter up with the Vietnamese government on behalf of our businessmen, make complaints, and assist in making claims for damages. I think the government has the responsibility. The ACLG has the responsibility. Otherwise, the interests of Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam cannot be protected. Now you will send representatives over there. I hope you can be more specific. Record the damages suffered by Hong Kong businessmen in Vietnam, and then take the cases up, make complaints, and make claims, so on and so forth. And I hope the panel can be updated on the work, on this work. As said by Mr. Yiu, the coming few months are important. Now, when Hong Kong investors or the factories of Hong Kong investors were attacked, the Hong Kong businessmen called the local police, and the local police didn't respond. That was government action. They condoned. They condone such activity. We should put our demand on them. Otherwise, such situation will continue to occur. The government should represent the factories, Hong Kong factories, which suffer damage to make claims. Mr. So, according to the information provided by the HKBAV, 8 Hong Kong factories were damaged to a certain extent. The main gates and windows were damaged, and some parts of the factories were looted. Several factories have resumed operation. I called the operator of a certain factory. He told me that they had adequate capability to rebuild, and they would take the matter up with the local government on compensation. He told me categorically that there was no need at the present stage for the involvement of the HKSARG. As for SMEs, which may need help, we will provide the help. Our Singapore ETO, the director of our Singapore ETO, will visit Vietnam and talk to the HKBAV and see what kind of help can be provided. Mr. So you will meet with Mr. Choi of the HKBAV. Will you try to identify the smaller factories? I have been in contact with Mr. Choi. His understanding is that the damage wasn't very serious. Whether government help is needed for redevelopment and claiming compensation, he still has to find it out. Can the, telephone numbers of the local police stations be made available so that the Hong Kong factories can call up the local authorities? Say I'm in a small city in Vietnam. I want to call the police. Is there a telephone number for me? Well, if they need help, our hotline and also we will give the we have given the hotline, our hotline, and also the hotline of the consulates and embassy, and in fact the operators of Hong Kong factories do know the local telephones. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, with regard to anti-Chinese riots in Vietnam, mainland Taiwan and Hong Kong businesses have been damaged. Their operation is stopped. As the representative of the industrial sector, I feel angry and I'm concerned. On the 13th, 14th, and 15th of May, I called many telephone calls. I made many telephone calls to my friends. In Vietnam, they operate shoes factories, paper factories, and garment factories. On the 13th, I called a textile factory. There were 2 factories. One was looted the night before. The one in the north was okay, but on the 14th, the boss ordered the factory to stop operation. On the 15th, there was the problem in Ha Tin. Now the situation has quieted down, but it doesn't mean that the problem has been resolved. With the peaceful ascendance of China, China has faced a lot of provocations, and majority of law-abiding people, small and medium enterprises will suffer. Hong Kong doesn't have industrial policy. Labor-intensive factories have moved to the mainland with rising labor costs in the mainland. Hong Kong manufacturers have to move to Southeast Asia. If Hong Kong manufacturers have problems, it is our duty to help them to solve the problem. As for political problems, riots, law-abiding manufacturers, SMEs, entrepreneurs, they cannot handle that. They need to rely on the SARG and the Chinese government to protect them. Similar things may occur in the future in other places with the rise of China. Our government has to maintain high-level coordination and liaison with the mainland authorities. Attention should be paid to Hong Kong investors overseas. Response has to be quick. Action has to be quick. The government has to be on alert.
青島咧見到越南嘅官員都同佢反映。
Now, Mr. So, you said that in Qingdao you met with the leaders of Vietnam and reflected our concern. That's right. In fact, Mr. So has been to many places. Myanmar, Seoul, France, Switzerland, Qingdao, Chongqing, and you are concerned about cooperation and trade relations. Now you make use of the Vietnam office of the TDC and also the Singapore office to understand the situation. Within a short period of time, can Mr. So also lead a delegation to express your concern and try to understand the situation over there? What problems are faced by Hong Kong manufacturers? You shouldn't just rely on making phone calls like me. Shouldn't you provide more immediate care and help? I'm not happy to hear that you don't have the statistics for loss and damages incurred by Hong Kong factories in Vietnam. After the Chinese workers have been taken back into to the mainland, the factories cannot resume operation within a short period of time, and there must be some time before they can resume operation. Can help be given? I hope that there can be an official or unofficial understanding or survey on the extent of loss by Hong Kong factories in mainland. When I conducted overseas visits, I was also accompanied by Hong Kong representatives of the business sector. This is to explore markets and to understand the business environment there, and happy to do so if time permits. Of course, we are to look into business opportunities over there. As for latest situation, we are trying to gather information through various channels. We put in a lot of effort. The local business organizations are able to understand the situation the best. Our Singapore ETO will go to Vietnam tomorrow and also visit the damaged Hong Kong factories. Next, Dr. Kenneth Chan. On behalf of the Civic Party, we would like to express our concern to those who suffer. Now, diplomatic disputes over sovereignty between two countries will affect the innocent citizens. I think the incident has given us a lesson. Concerning the disputes over the South China Sea, geopolitical tension. When geopolitical tension arises, shouldn't there be a notification system so that investors in Southeast Asia can be alerted? and so that they can pay special attention to change in the political and social situation. It is not just a simple matter to deal with the remedying the situation. I think we should learn the lesson and we should put more resources to help. It's not just the tension between China and Vietnam, but also there is tension between China and the Philippines, and there are sovereignty disputes over many places along in the South China Sea. Now, I have yet to hear from the SARG government concerning the assessment of the situation. Is there any relation between the riots and the local governments there? Should we just regard it as an ordinary riot, which started on a voluntary basis? If that is the case, then the IPPA may not be appropriate. Well, I teach international relations. I think you really need to look into the matter.
In the latest edition of The Economist, there was an interview, and it was said that it seems that there was acquiescence. So you can imagine, ordinarily these would not be reported, but for the state TV stations, etc., these were reported, and in various it was also revealed that the public officers were involved. So apart from relying on the state authority to negotiate, we are also an independent economic entity. So we also have to make our own judgment. Now, instead of just an incident sparked in the community, since the Vietnamese government also had a role to play in the background, we should also play a role. We should not just let go. So I hope the government would follow up on it. That is, there should be a more comprehensive notification system, and secondly, on compensation, we should just follow what mainland or the Taiwanese government is doing, and apart from seeking views from businessmen, we should also adopt the same attitude in negotiating with the Vietnamese government. Now, Dr. Chan said that he is an international expert. Expert in international affairs, but I don't see before this incident he could foresee this happening. And in fact, we've tried our best. We've tried to get an understanding of this incident with the Vietnamese government and to ensure the safety of Hong Kong businessmen there. As for the advanced notification system, I don't know whether this can be done. If there were such a system, there would not have been such a riot. So, Chairman, we're just joining hands and working hard together, and it's time to look ahead and respond actively to this incident and see how we can help the business sector and the people of Hong Kong in this matter. Next, Ms. Emily Lau. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I also support your decision to include this item on the agenda for today's meeting. And Chairman, you've also invited secretaries not actually belonging to this purview to come to attend the meeting, because this is a matter of everybody's concern. And just now, some colleagues said that it's the situation. Well, I mean, there is tension in the South China Sea, and also there are media reports saying that the the mainland authority is evacuating the residence alien there. And this is very serious. we're talking about anti-Chinese protests. So how are you assessing the situation? What will you tell Hong Kong investors in Vietnam when they asked you about it? Will you ask them to turn to the embassy instead? How many Hong Kong businessmen are there in Vietnam? At this moment, how many enterprises there? Do we have the information? Can we are they able to contact the Hong Kong SARG for help? Have you considered following the mainland authorities' request and ask them to return? On the number of enterprises in Vietnam, as I understand from the business sector, for Hong Kong private enterprises investing in Vietnam at the moment, there are 700 to 1,000 of them. On the point of measures, all along we have been telling these investors in Vietnam to be very careful about their personal safety. On the other hand, we need to respect their decisions to invest overseas. Chairman, my question is whether the Secretary is aware of the mainland's measure in evacuating the residence alien. Have you asked why, and should we adopt the same measure and ask the Hong Kong enterprises to come back? So have you considered, if necessary, that such a measure should be taken? Perhaps you should ask Mr. Lai, since he is here. Yes, please be brief. Secretary, if you don't mind, please repeat the point again. Now, because of on the request of factories in Ha Tien province, which were subject to a greater extent of damage, now they were evacuated, and 5 vessels have been sent to take them on board, some 7,000 to 8,000 residents, and they were sent back to the mainland. And for some other residents, they decided to travel by land instead of by sea. And as for cases involving Hong Kong businessmen, we received a number of cases for help, and we dealt with the cases. And also, we sent text messages for holders of Hong Kong telephone number. If we know that the their signal was routed to Vietnam, then we would send. If we know that roaming signals of these numbers are present in Vietnam, we've sent SMS to them as soon as possible. And we also communicated with them. And that if necessary, any Hong Kong residents that can use the transport available to mainland citizens for returning to Hong Kong. And so far, there have not been any problem with the booking of seats. And we have not received any cases for asking for assistance on top of the 10 cases mentioned. And as said just now, through the Hong Kong Business Association Vietnam, we appealed to members of the business association, reminding them to register with our system so that we can inform them of any emergencies as soon as possible. So, Chairman, it's very passive. The situation is tense there, and it's chaotic, and then the residents are called back, and I don't know, because of the emergency, 7,000 residents were evacuated. But it seems that according to our government's judgment, this is not the case. That's why you have told the businessmen that they could decide whether to stay or not. Is that the case? Now, Chairman, as I said, we respect the wish of investors, whether they will continue. They wish to continue to invest there or not. Now, you're from the business sector, I'm not, and he's talking about respecting investors' decisions. So can the business sector just expect that the government would respect their wish? I believe the government does reasonably assess the situation there. Chairman, basically last week it was very clear. The outbound travel alert was already raised to red, so things are very clear. I heard from from the secretary just now that there was a case requesting for assistance, and the factory owner got the flight tickets, but he then decided to stay there for a while and not returning immediately. So maybe objectively the situation was not as tense as we imagined. Second round, maybe Deputy Chair first. She still hasn't time. Maybe I will maybe I'll give way to the other two members. So generous. Mr. Zhong, another question for Mr. So on compensation. You mentioned the factory owner. I also was in contact with him. He could look after himself, but we cannot just look at the initial amount involved in compensation. Maybe there were factories that had to suspend its operation in a panic, and then when the operation resumed, they might face compensation claims from their employees. For example, they might have minimum wage protection. So it could incur bigger losses instead of just breaking glass panes or turning over a few tables. And that's a message that we should send. I think the responsible view is that, first of all, we need to look at the latest situation in terms of the loss and the situation there, and our colleagues grasping the situation and following up on the issue. Now, the legal proceedings will have to be initiated by the victims of damage according to the local legislation. I think it's premature to say what action should be taken. From the newspapers, I see that the Taiwanese government have sent representatives to help Taiwanese businessmen there to help with seeking compensation. Mr. Lim Tai-Fai. Chairman, Assembly Lau asked a question and Secretary answered her. And from what I heard, I can say that these two laymen are discussing something that an insider should discuss. Now, even if the factory owner is Hong Kong, instead of using Vietnamese or Hong Kong workers, they use mainland workers instead. For Hong Kong staff, they're mostly at the managerial level. For evacuation of residents, well, that happened because they were workers, and there were a lot of them. So Secretary and Ms. Lau should understand, for Hong Kong, I don't think we have reached a stage where we have to evacuate them because the number is limited. However, we must liaise closely with the mainland government. We should toe their line if necessary. Hong Kong residents can take their flight. We don't need to have a charter flight exclusively with Hong Kong people. And as I said just now, with the peaceful assent of China, there are countries who, which would like to challenge and instigate troubles, and this happens all the time. Now, Secretary, on the other hand, you talk about tapping up business opportunities around the world, but now you have a crisis and you're not dealing with it. You should travel to Vietnam with your colleagues and have a look. You talk about 7,000 or 700 to 1,000 enterprises there. These are vague numbers. You should personally lead a team and pay a visit there. I could join you. You should have a clear understanding of the situation there. You couldn't answer Ms. Lau's question. The reason was the workers employed were mainlanders. Well, anyway, we should be highly concerned about this incident, and I hope the Hong Kong government can respond in a timely manner to prevent loss of property or the personal safety being endangered.
Concerning the central government, in fact, Mr. Lai has been liaising with central government. If there's a need to conduct an evacuation of Hong Kong citizens, the mainland can help us with that. Yes, we are improving the mechanism, and there were examples in which the central government assists us to send aeroplanes to take our people back. They also told us that if Hong Kong people wanted to board their ships, they could do so. Hong Kong workers are not in Vietnam. The majority of the Hong Kongers in Vietnam are managers. We receive call for help. Some withdrew the call. Some decided not to go after they assess the situation. They have the resources. Anytime, if they just take a cab and then go to the airport, and they can board the flight back to Hong Kong. Yes, I think, Mr. Lam, you're right. Now, the two policy secretaries, you have heard the views of the citizens and also the manufacturers, the Hong Kong manufacturers. We are concerned about it. There are Southeast Asian countries such as Cambodia or Myanmar. Our investors are going there. Will you sign investment protection agreement with them? Well, we are happy to conduct negotiation on IPPA, investment promotion protection agreement. As for our negotiation with the ASEAN, that the FTA can include the investment protection clauses. Will the negotiation be successful? That depends on the agreements of different parties. Usually, protection is available when time is peaceful and people can take out insurance. But when the situation is turbulent, can there be protection? Well, you have to consider the actual situation. You have to let international investors see that you are able to protect foreign investors. Different countries have different concerns. Thank you once again for the two policy secretaries for coming to us to meet us within short notice. And let's keep in contact. And if there is any thing, please update us ASAP. Thank you.
I
have to attend the Poison and Pharmacy subcommittee on, or rather the Bills Committee on Pharmacy and Poison 2013 Amendment Bill. I will have to hand over the chair to the Vice Chairman. May I thank the Vice Chairman? May I welcome Mr. So and also his team for attending the meeting. We are now on agenda item number 5, which is promotion of intellectual property trading in Hong Kong. So would you take us through the paper first? Thank you, Chairman. On the 21st of May, we briefed the members on development of IP trading in Hong Kong and formation of working group as a dedicated government initiative on this front. Today, we are here to update you on the work of the working group in the past year. The working group was set up in March last year. I chaired the meeting. The vice chairman is Mr. Liu, member of the EXCO, and also there are representatives from the IP sector. The working group looked into the overall strategy of Hong Kong as the IP trading hub, and also other supporting measures to promote IP trading. Last year, the working group focused on formulating a strategic framework to promote Hong Kong as the IP trading hub. I will not go into details of the framework since they are in the paper. I just want to speak on this. We set up 2 sub-working groups on issues of valuation and arbitration. We listened to the views of stakeholders through various seminars and fora. The working group then changed amended its structure, amended its framework, and published its framework last year, which is attached to Annex A. There are 4 strategic areas: enhancing IP protection regime, supporting IP creation and exploitation, fostering IP intermediary services and manpower capacity, and finally, pursuing promotion, education, external collaboration efforts. In the first area, enhancing IP protection regime, we have 2 important strategies. Number 1, implement the OGP, Original Grant Patent System, and number 2, we need to review our scheme regime whether we are in line with the international standards. We will look at our patent, design, copyright, registration system. As for supporting IP creation and exploitation, we have 3 strategic areas. We have 3 focused strategies: support industries meeting strategic needs through creation, acquisition, management of IP, support R&D, technology transfer, and acquisition, commercialization of IP, and support creative industries in engaging in licensing and franchising arrangements. The Innovation and Technology Fund, ITF, has introduced a number of new measures, but I will not go into details. We have already explained that to the panel. As for the third area, fostering IP intermediary services and manpower capacity, we have another subgroup which is working on valuation, arbitration. This is Hong Kong's advantage, and we should put emphasis on that. The 2 subgroups have done a lot of work. The TDC in December launched the Asia IP Exchange, which is an online IP trading portal. 25,000 IP listings have been shown. As for agency work, in the long term, we will have a regulation system in terms of patents, and we will continue to conduct surveys and studies to understand the situation, so that when we provide the facilities and arrangements, we can be more appropriate. And finally, pursuing promotion, education, external collaboration efforts. We established a brand and market Hong Kong as a premier IP trading hub. We also nurture among the younger generation the respect and awareness of IP, and we work with mainland, overseas, and international IP authorities, fostering the development of IP trading internationally and in the region. In December last year, for the first time, together with TDC and Hong Kong Design Center, we organized Business of Intellectual Property Asia Forum. We welcome 1,700 participants from 24 countries and jurisdictions. This was a large-scale forum in terms of IP. This helped to develop the Hong Kong brand. Chairman, concerning the 4 strategic areas and also focus strategies, they are all in Annex B, and members may refer to them, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you. 3 members want to ask questions. So 5 minutes each. Mr. Chung Kok Pan. Thank you, Chairman. The SARG want to turn Hong Kong into a premier IP trading hub. If that it can be achieved, that is, of course, very good. But there are many trades and industries involved in this in respect of IP trading. Will the administration choose 1 or 2 industries or trades as the starting point or as a pilot? The scenario is now too broad. Now there is a subgroup on valuation. Different products, different trades, different industries have different valuation approaches, and also their professional standards are also different. So if you don't choose a particular trade or industry, you really have nowhere to start. Mr. So, with regard to valuation, we're talking about the procedures and standards. The subgroup is made up of experts who look into various and different international standards. Some institutions have conducted studies and have achieved consensus and have come up with a valuation system. IP, with regard to IP, it covers a very broad spectrum, and we should not limit the scope to 1 or 2 areas. But if a certain area is matured, and we are willing to put in resources to conduct studies. I'm not saying that you just impose a restriction on or restrict your scope to just 1 or 2 industries. I think we should pick 1 or choose matured trade or industry in terms of IP trade as an example. If you have no focus, then you really don't know where to go. Well, we are talking about valuation standards. Objective valuation facilitates trade financing, and industry, and also mergers and takeovers. It is not and sales of business. It is not abstract valuation. It is part of the process of IP trading. It's really down to earth. Mr. Chung.
Perhaps Secretary misunderstood my question. I just take valuation as one example. As an IP trading hub, definitely you need to specialize in 1 or 2, look for 1 or 2 industries as the starting point. I'm not just talking about valuation. You need to select a particular industry to start exploring into IP valuation. For example, textile and garment manufacturing or fashion, we can have different brands, different products. Will this be a starting point for building an IP trading hub. This is very technical. There are different ways of valuation, and we need to discuss in greater detail. If Mr. Zhong believes that you need to pinpoint a particular industry to have IP valuation, this is not our approach. We want to cover more industries, more businesses, and all the IP related activities can be done on this platform. Next, Mr. Dennis Kwok. Why are you laughing, Madam Chair? What's so funny? Finish your question first. I want to ask about paragraph 22 of the paper on promoting IP arbitration and mediation. Secretary, you understand that I'm very concerned about this area, and I strongly support the promotion of such. We must work harder to promote ourselves as the IP arbitration and mediation hub as an international legal service center. Now you talked about the IPAC, the Hong Kong International IAC. Now the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center always complained to me about the insufficient resources given by the government and the lack of publicity effort. So I hope you can deploy more resources in this regard. What plans do you have? I agree with Mr. Kwok that this is exactly the advantages enjoyed by Hong Kong in promoting IP, because when there are disputes over IP rights, different jurisdictions will have different procedures for initiating legal proceedings. But Hong Kong has a good arbitration system that allows disputes to be arbitrated or disputes to be resolved through arbitration. In the Policy Address 2014, it's also mentioned that we have to enhance our position as the Hong Kong and as a region for dispute resolve center, and we have conducted a consultancy study in establishing ourselves as the regional arbitration center and how we can cope with challenges and give full play to our advantages. And this is an ongoing consultation study. And the Secretary for Justice is also chairing a working group, and we also work closely with the arbitration sector to step up publicity efforts. Also, professional arbitrating bodies from the mainland will also, and Hong Kong will work together in promoting arbitration services. This is what Hong Kong has done. And in our working group, we also have legal professionals. And on arbitration and mediation, we have a subgroup, as I mentioned in the beginning, so that in relation to IP arbitration in Hong Kong, whether we have a mean special treatment be given so that we can be established as an IP arbitration mediation center in the region. Apart from promoting ourselves to overseas, our advantages, for example, one country, two systems, a good legal system, I think there is still room for Hong Kong to hold international arbitration conferences. I understand recently we lost by a few votes to Sydney. We didn't win the 2017 International Business Arbitration Conference. I mean, we didn't win the hosting right of this conference. And still we have other conferences which can attract more people to come to Hong Kong and to learn about the advantages of holding arbitrations in Hong Kong. We support the development in this regard, and we also work with the DOJ in promoting work in this regard. Mr. Kwok and Mr. Chung, I want to explain why Mr. Chung, when Mr. Chung was speaking, I laughed, because industrialists are very clear. He wanted to be specific. How large is the platform? How many transactions per year? And what about the tax to be paid in Hong Kong? Give me some figures. And also, Mr. Kwok is asking what specifically activities will be held in the future, what conferences, how to attract people around the world to come. You have to tell them what advantages they will enjoy and what Hong Kong and how Hong Kong will benefit. I'm sorry, I'll give you 2 more minutes. Back to you. Madam Chair, I think you have made a very good summary. So be more pragmatic and tell us what benefit will that bring to Hong Kong's GDP. Mr. Charles Mok. Thank you, Secretary, for reporting to us the progress of the working group on IP trading. And last November, you announced a strategic framework. And in Annex A, I see that framework. However, perhaps the working group only worked for 6 months or so, that this strategic framework looked to quite high level. And this report, I think it would be best if you can show us specifically what work will be involved, because it seems that it's still off the ground, so to speak. Everything is at the high level. We want to know whether we can build an ecosystem for IP trading. And the components include manpower, markets, capital, branding, etc. Have you conducted any study to see what exactly Hong Kong has to do? Whether we have any planning, what is the next step for us? Now, you talked about in the paper, for example, implementing OGP in Hong Kong, original grant patent in Hong Kong. But I don't think this can be implemented in a short period of time. Can you supplement more information here? Perhaps you're still at the initial stage. You just talk about the forum, exhibitions, etc. Definitely, we can't brand ourselves as a regional IP trading hub simply by doing all these. Can you have, say, some work targets in 2 or 5 years' time, what will be achieved, or say a timetable, perhaps, or, for example, a regional IP trading hub? Now, apart from Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has yet to become a regional IP trading hub, what about other IP trading hubs? This will help us a great deal if you can give us some examples. And also, if you can engage more professionals in various areas, this will also help with development. Secretary, please do tell us what other places are branding themselves as IP trading trading hub. Original grant patent system, this is one of the components which seeks to protect the IP system. And this will be implemented in 2016-17. And the workload in this regard is actually quite heavy. There are different components for the original grant patent. We need a database, manpower training, and the OGP audit or OGP vetting. And we're relying on organizations in other jurisdictions to help us with vetting OPGs, but in the future, we would like to have our own system now on how to do this business. We're talking about economic benefit. Say, for financial services, this industry is more mature. We can then have the IP valuation, which also is linked to insurance and financing. And we need to explore in greater details for each of the areas. IP trading, the costs at present are quite high because, say, for an invention, we need to look at the value of the invention and whether a patent is needed. We also need to have due diligence check and see how we can minimize the trading costs. And this area is being looked into. So this covers a very wide scope, including arbitration as well. Any leading IP trading hub across the world, I personally don't think there is any at the moment. I think we are in a more advanced position, and we want to take the leading position so that we can build a platform for more IP trading activities to be done in Hong Kong. Chair, should I queue again? Second round. We still have some time left. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Madam Chair, IP or copyright, I think we've done a good job, and our effort is acknowledged across the world. And recently, we have been discussing the establishment of the IT Bureau. And I think developing IP is very important. With technological development, there will be new inventions and designs, and we will need to protect these new developments. Now, on the IP center, there are other supporting services like arbitration. Apart from a few remarks being made by the relevant units, it seems that the community is lukewarm about the development of such. So, on innovation and technology development in the future, how can IP development tie in with that so as to facilitate industrial and technological developments in the future? Thank you, Mr. Lam. I see Mr. Lam also agrees that technological development and commercialization of R&D results are important, and I think IP is very important in commercializing these developments. So, say, focus strategy 3 or area 3, manpower training. Now, manpower here, we're talking about IP valuation, financing, insurance, arbitration, mediation, etc. So, for the areas I mentioned, these are IP intermediaries or agencies, and they are already engaged in IP trading. So I can't say that we're only focusing on arbitration. There are also other areas being developed. The point is we don't have a platform that allows for all these to come together. We have different components to facilitate the IP trading, to lower costs, and to help with financing and development. Chair, in recent years, I see South Korea has been trying hard in developing innovative and creative industries and cultural industries, and including cosmetics. They have attached great importance. And the South Korean government also attaches great importance to bilateral trade agreements to facilitate protection of their IP rights, and also to expand their market. And we benefit from the mainland and we can also tap the mainland market. So can you say more, Secretary, what the government is having in mind in this regard?
Yes, this is a very good question. Thank you, Mr. Lam. Creative industries may come from other places. They may do IP trading in Hong Kong if we have a good platform so that they can do IP trading here. The transaction is done not in their own country but in Hong Kong because we have the components which provide the conditions for IP trading. If we can have a platform in Hong Kong, then we will attract all these IP products to be traded in Hong Kong, and this will also help the owners of IP to develop their international market. Mrs. So, I have a question for you. Now you will support the SMEs. That is the SME support scheme, and you will provide a matching grant of up to $10 million. How much money will you put into this? And there will also the need for publicity. How far has it gone? I will ask the Assistant Director, Mr. Zhang, to speak on this scheme. Thank you, Chairman, for the question. The support scheme in Paragraph 15, Enterprise Support Scheme in Paragraph 15, is to assist SMEs to conduct R&D. This is different from the scheme supported by the ITF in general. Now, this is focused on the in-house R&D by the enterprises. This is based on the small enterprise support scheme. Now, there are too many restrictions in that scheme. We therefore set up an independent scheme. We've relaxed the application requirements. Yes, how does it relate to IP? How does it relate to IP? This is according to one of our strategies, which is support the creation, acquisition, and management of IP. We put it in the framework. That's how it relates. Well. Chairman, if I may add, I have asked you to come earlier. Chairman, if I may add, with regard to promoting IP trading, we encourage the industries to create IP, and that will stimulate IP trading. If the upstream R&D outcomes can be used in downstream R&D, that also facilitate IP trading. And commercialization will also be encouraged to achieve economic returns or financial returns. So we are in this scheme. It is to encourage downstream R&D. Mr. Charles Mock, your second round. I want to follow my question up, and that is how to make Hong Kong the premier IP trading hub in Hong Kong or in the region or in the world. The Secretary says that there was no premier IT trading hub in the world. If there is none, then being the first one may not be good. Anyways, we need to make a comparison. We need to look at examples. A few years ago, the Science Park considered whether they would participate in IP trading. They looked into Scotland and the US on how they did it. Now, that's different. The situation is different from us because we have the mainland and we are closely related to the mainland. If you can be more specific in your comparative studies, you'll be able to understand the positioning of Hong Kong. We can tell people how we are different if there is a comparison. If there is no comparison, then people don't know what you are. But if there is a comparison, then people will be able to know. As for manpower, I hope the administration will pay attention to this area. Last week, I came across a friend from when I was studying in the university. He worked on pharmaceutical industry, but now he used to work in the pharmaceutical industry, but now he is working on patent rights. So people can switch jobs even at a rather old age, and people have a second lease of life, so to speak. This gives us can help people a lot, and this also helps our positioning. I just want the administration to pay attention to that. Now concerning the cities which want to be the IP trading hub, in fact, Singapore has set up a committee to develop this industry. Shanghai and Beijing are also very active in turning itself into an IP trading hub. There is no specific statistics for the time being. Now we have commissioned a study on the IP activities in Hong Kong. We will want to take stock of our situation. The TDC has also asked investors on Hong Kong's attractiveness in respect of IP trading. In fact, Hong Kong is rather attractive in this regard. Thank you, Mr. So. We still have one more item to go, and I don't want to overrun. And there is nothing urgent which require us to extend our meeting. Mr. Chung, I give you another 5 minutes. I give you 5 minutes. Well, you don't need to stop me, Madam Chairman. I don't want to. I don't get used to breaking the rules. Now you have not provided us with any data on our comparative advantage, it's right to get a consultant to conduct a study. With regard to IP trading, how many transactions have been conducted in Hong Kong, we really don't know. And what other people have done, we really don't know. We have been to such conferences, and everybody says Hong Kong should promote IP trading, but it's more talk than actual work. Now, I think, can you draw up a paper on IP trading activities in Hong Kong in the past few years? If you are not able to do so, then there is none. So next time you come back with numbers, and numbers can talk. The best report will enable us to understand our comparative advantage vis-à-vis our neighbors. It's not just how we perform. It's also about how we compare with, say, for example, Singapore. Now you make a proposal, and then Singapore just jumped the gun and is working ahead of you. So can you come up with numbers about Hong Kong, and also in comparison with our potential competitors? May I now take the opportunity to introduce to you Ms. Ada Leung, the newly appointed Director of Intellectual Property. In fact, the IPD is now conducting the survey and statistics on IP trading. We have completed the tendering exercise, and we are now assessing the bids. We will interview 2,500, no less than 2,400 businesses. We want to find out what type of intermediary service are being provided, what sort of IP trading activities are going on, and what is the contribution of IP trading to our economy, and also the challenges and opportunities faced by companies engaged in IP trading. The study or survey will be completed by the end of this year, and we will come back to the panel on the results. Okay. We move on to agenda item number 6.
Thank
you to the officials for coming to meet us. May I now turn to item 6, redevelopment of electronic processing systems, or rather redevelopment of the IT systems of the IPD, Intellectual Property Department. Just 2 officials. Or are there more officials coming? Yes. Yes, there are.
So welcome, representatives, to this meeting. We're now 4:15. At 4:30, we'll need to hand over this room to the development panel. So this should end at 4:30, but this also involves an item, and we may need to ask the government to come back again. At 4:25, I still have another thing to discuss with members. So we can only spend 10 minutes on this item. Our chairman is not here at the moment, but he has asked me to discuss with members on a duty visit matter. So may I now first invite the administration to walk us through the paper? No? No? On to questions now? Okay. No need? So what about the administration? If you want, I can give you some time to speak. Madam Chair, maybe I briefly go through the paper for members' information. We have 5 IT systems under the IP department related to IP vetting, and also 2 electronic systems for accessible by members of the public for filing in or submitting forms, or an online search system. These are 5 separate electronic systems at the moment, and they are quite outdated. Most of them have been implemented since January 2003. They have been in use for 20 years, and they have gone beyond their serviceable lifespan. Starting from the middle of this year, we would like to start the upgrading work. And our proposal is to integrate these IT systems so that they will be interconnected to have greater efficiency, and members of the public will also feel the difference. They will find it easier in submitting e-forms and conducting online search with different browsers using various platforms. They can still submit forms and conduct search online. And this also has to do with the implementation of the original grant patent system. The new e-system will have some flexibility, so that when the OPG system is introduced in Hong Kong, this can be integrated into the new system, and this will help in registering the OPG. So much for my presentation. All right, thank you. First member, Mr. Charles Mok, 3 minutes. Very briefly, Madam Chair, this is to replace the existing aging system, and also to consolidate the 5 separate systems. So definitely I support the objective. I have 2 questions though. First, on future uses, internal users as well as external ones, members of the public and the like. Now, what will be the biggest difference in terms of the function? And also, you mentioned more flexibility in the future in adding extra components like the OGP system. Will you be coming back for more funding to include new features or new upgrades? Will you be able to tell me now these matters in the future? Madam Chair, let me say something about the new functions in the new system. There are new functions. For example, we will adopt the web page interface for the new system, and the e-filing system at present only supports the Windows operating system. In the future, apart from Windows, we'll also support Mac OS and Android. And for the other system, currently only IE is supported. But in the future, Safari, Firefox will also be supported. You're talking about user interface, right? But these are the external matters. It's not the core thing, and not much money would be required, I know. Now, system-wise, we're adding extra functions. For example, online payment system. At present, only registered users can use e-payment, but in the future our system will support credit card payment and PPS payment and authentication. Well, at present we use e-certificate, but in the future we'll explore other ways of authentication. Okay, another question, security system. Is it also included in this funding application? Perhaps I'll defer to my colleague, Ms. Chan. Yes, please, go ahead. Yes, it's included. It's included in the cost. No patch can be applied at the moment, but for the new system, new programming will be adopted, and the SRA server can perform that function. Next, any other members? Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Madam Chair, it's reasonable to upgrade this old system which has been in place since 2003. The only thing I find unreasonable is that the timing is it's taking so long. I understand the table at the back is about maintenance, so on and so forth. But for the table before that, for the whole system, starting from 2014 this year, let's say that's when you start preparation. You don't start hardware until 2016. So what are you going to do this year on the next? And installation in 2016, this will be done, and then in 2018 rollout, 2017 service rollout. Does it really take this long? Can you explain why does the whole development cycle taking so long? Taking so long is bad because it may be outdated by the time you implement the system. Madam Chair, we have carefully calculated and prepared this timetable. We need, based on our previous experience in procurement and implementing the system, after we receive funding in June, in July, we will start preparing tender documents and also preparing the assessment criteria. And we will need to consult the DOJ and the Central Tender Board, and from our past experience for the whole process, all the way to finalizing the tender documents and finalizing the assessment criteria, it will take about 11 months. So if we start work in July, the tender document will be ready by March or May next year, and we will then immediately start the tendering process, which will take about 2 months. And after that, we will assess the tender, assess the bids. I mean, before that, we will open the project for tender by interested bidders, and then when it will take us to August to October when we award the tender to the winning bidder, and then in October, phase 1 will be rolled out, and that includes the OGP system and also the public. I mean the e-form system, accessible by the public, and online search system. Both are open to public. So for stage 1, they are expected to be completed by March 2017, and then for 9 months, in the next 9 months, there will be the maintenance period. 6 months, in fact. Before the end of the first stage, we will start work for the second stage, and for the subsystems and the trademark and the designs. For these 2 subsystems, they won't be completed until March 2018. So that's basically the timetable. All right, if there are no more questions from members, I still have to ask this question. Members, do we in principle support the administration in submitting the funding application to FC? Yes. Yes, so everyone supports it. Item 7 on the agenda, AOB. Now, to consider doing a duty visit. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you, government officials, for attending. Thank you. Item 7. To consider having a duty visit. The panel held a non-official meeting on the 17th of April with the Consular of Israel, Mr. Sagi Kani, and exchange views on the proposed duty visit to Israel. Members have suggested conducting this visit between the 3rd of August and the 8th of August 2013. The consulate's office expressed that they planned to liaise with the relevant unit beginning in June, and chairman of the panel, Mr. Vincent Fang, already expressed that he won't be available for the visit and he won't be able to lead the delegation. So I've been asked to consult members on how to conduct this duty visit. And there are two options. First one, whether we should conduct this duty visit as scheduled, or option two, we conduct this duty visit later. Yes, Mr. Charles Mock. Madam Chair, I think we really want to visit Israel, and yet there is no urgency to conduct this visit in August. I think it is good if chairman of this panel can participate. So the point is, most importantly, whether apart from chairman, other members could join the visit. I have no preference of either option, but I think that it would be better if chairman could go and more members could go. So that depends on how many members can go in the beginning of August. I don't know if only a few members could go. And anyway, I don't think we must go in early August. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. Now, we talked about conducting a duty visit, and I supported this duty visit to Israel. On timing, I don't think there is any urgency. If chairman can't go, I don't think it's desirable. So perhaps we can schedule to another date. If the other party is not responding very swiftly, it is questionable whether we can indeed go in August. All right, I reflect members' views to chairman. And from the Secretariat, I also know that the Chief Executive and other principal officials have visited some places for the sake of setting up the IT Bureau. So should we go to Israel or should we go to Sweden? I think, again, this view can be reflected to chairman. Otherwise, what we see may not be the same as what the administration would like to proceed in terms of development. We want to visit Israel because they have comparative advantage. They have their own characteristics. I can say in terms of technology, they do have a position around the world. On information technology, we see breakthroughs in Israel. And Ms. Wong, Commissioner of ITC, also paid a visit to Israel, and perhaps the SAR government has to conduct a duty visit to Scandinavian countries to maintain diplomatic ties, etc. So I still support duty visit to Israel. Maybe the administration can discuss with us when they will be available so that we can have ample time to prepare. Or please reflect the views of members to chairman. If there are nothing on the AOB, then so much for the meeting. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.